tired and more tired as you see me, right, with all kinds of different meetings and the time periods. But the energy seems to be going up, which is pretty good, right, for these days. All right, let's get started. For those of you who may be new, this is our third part of a four-part webinar series. Keep teaching, planning, and delivering remote instruction to your students during this hard time. We ask if you've got questions, please put them in the chat as I go through, and we'll answer them as we go. And if we don't get to them, I'll answer them at the end. All right, so part 3 today. Open resources tools. What can you do now? The other 2 sessions, we looked a lot about the background. We talked about emotional needs of students and parents, ways that you could get around that. Today we want to look at some of these resources, some practical things that you can do now. All right, background. Schools are closing. Schools are transitioning to remote learning. There's a loss of safety, feelings of connectedness, feelings of despair, mounting confusion. As always, with this slide, we kind of show this next one. The parents and the teachers and the students' emotions are all different. So what I thought we'd do, because we're trying to see how this improves over the 4 days, is we have a short poll. If you can take just the same poll as we've seen on the other sessions, that if you could put how you feel about your needs today, how are you feeling? If you see the slide, parents, teachers, and students are scared, nervous. They're scared about the disease, of course, if they know people too. They're tense, depending on the family relationship. Sometimes they're happy that they're staying at home. They're bored. So right now you'll see a poll. So if you can just take a second, maybe we'll do this for about 20 seconds today to keep this moving on, and people can put how they're feeling today. And this is a neat tool inside of Adobe Connect that you can poll your participants. So if you're going to use this with your students, you could do this with practice quizzes, kind of like Kahoot, live voting and streaming to see how they're going to work in there. And the past couple of days, we've had some interesting results. You can see people putting in things moving forward. Looks like cautiously optimistic has a lot of people responding. And tired. Yes, I think if I had to do mine today too, you guys probably noticed, right? Okay, today's April 1st, so there might be some time with all this bad news going on there to have some kind of humor in there too. So perhaps you know that joke while we're waiting for the poll. If you go to the check-in counter at the airport and the person says, "Oh, do you have any bags?" And you say, "Yes, 2, right? The ones under my eyes." Okay, haha. All right, let's start with the jokes. About 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, we'll stop with the voting, and we'll broadcast the results. And Alex will show you the totals. Looks like we have 40%, 43% people saying cautiously optimistic, 6% very upbeat. That's high. We got about 50%. Today, only 6% tired, overwhelmed 12.5%, and scared or nervous about 12.5% too. What we're seeing a little bit higher today is anger, which is probably also closely related to frustration about things that aren't working as fast as they could be.
And on the other hand,
so thank you for that.
If I may add,
Go ahead, Alex.
More people cautiously optimistic. So this is also something that in last sessions there was a lot of optimism, but a bit less. And we're happy that that the optimism continues to grow as it's a very strong source of strength, but at the same time we should allow other feelings as well, such as anger and being overwhelmed or feeling confused. So all these emotions have place and are valid.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Okay, so move on with the presentation. Okay. Online education is the tool that's being touted as what we're supposed to be using to do this. And as we've looked at in a couple of sessions past, just to review, we've got online platforms, LMSs, email, teleconferencing like Zoom, WebEx, and Adobe Meetings, phone, and e-twinning for products, right? We haven't yet shown Padlet, so Alex will put the resource in the chat. If you don't know Padlet, we used it last time to do quick things. It's also free. You can have students do collaborative type wall experiments and projects such as this one. Right? It did just a quick question wall. You can put whatever image that you want And then you can put questions. How do you feel about not being in school? What's a good thing that happened today? How do you feel today? And, just like an Instagram or a Facebook post, then you can have these things used for maybe more academic uses, right? It keeps a record of it, kind of like a group wiki or a journal moving in. Other tools that we might be talking about are voice. And last time people talked about how can I get my students online, or how am I going to be able to talk to them or text them. And you might know I'm not a big Google guy. Sorry, it's all this kind of advertising going on there, but trying to look at some of these other tools that might help. So Google Voice, smart voice calling on all your devices, and look, you can pull down for personal use. It works with Android, Apple, and web connections too. So Google Voice, Alex will put that in the chat as well. And then also some kind of resources with it. I wanted to stop a minute and say, remember how we talked about Zoom? Pretty interesting with the Zoom conditions and with privacy. It's so important that we create a safe space for our students and that we're aware of all the privacy rights. So I'm going to put this link in the chat about what happened with Zoom. Somebody hacked a Zoom Room account and started putting all kinds of racist and sexist language out there. So that was not a good thing at all. So you have to be pretty good about privacy settings, and you can ask for passwords and those types of things too. The other link that Alex put in about the Wikicom, how to call private, so that you could keep all of those kinds of hackers and those privacy issues very much there. Now, all the links that we're sharing and the tools, you should make sure that you look at the privacy statement. And it's very easy on all these websites we put out. There's a privacy statement page. Go to the search function on that page, type in privacy statement, and then read the privacy statement. As we said last time, if you're sharing things with parents and you're offering ideas to students, it should always come with a link to the privacy so they can make their own opinion about it and what they're trying to put in there. Right? Okay, excellent. Those are some more tools that might be helpful. This next slide we've seen before too, just a reminder about LMSs. Those are those learning management systems, right? Course management systems, VLEs, are the same thing. Some are free, like Ilias, Moodle, Canvas, and MyOpenMath. Google is also free. We looked at that the other day too. And these cost money, proprietary ones. Brightspace, Blackboard, and eCollege, and then somewhere in between Schoology. So what we wanted to do here for our records and just kind of see which LMS does your school use. So we've got the second poll question. So lots of interaction today. No time to just sleep. Everybody's got a little homework. So you're going to see this next poll question appear soon. It says, what LMS does your school use? And then Brightspace, Blackboard, Canvas, or Sakai, Moodle, Schoology, Google Classrooms, other, and then we don't have an LMS or online classroom tool, right? So that's also important to put in there. Okay, Brightspace, Blackboard, Canvas, or Sakai, Moodle, Schoology, Google Classrooms, maybe other. And it's helpful too with the other, if you could put that in the chat too, right? If you have an other, what are you using? And then we don't have an LMS or online classroom tool. Patricia, that's excellent. Classrooms, Google Classrooms. Good morning, Hoyum. Welcome. Okay. Okay, so probably about 10 more seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and then we'll stop and we'll see 56%, and that's pretty much what we're expecting. About 60% of schools out there, at least in our little community, don't have an LMS or an online classroom tool. 24%, that's a big number. I didn't think it was going to. 1 out of every 4 out there have gone to Google Classrooms. So for those of you who don't have an LMS or an online classroom tool, you might start thinking about, well, let me look at Google, and is that going to work? And that might be the one that you adopt because of the cost. Not that expensive. 15% are using other. Only 8% using Moodle, and that's surprising. And Odette posted, we have Moodle, but we just started using it. And maybe a lot of us are going to be like that. This is the first time that there's been perhaps a big need for an LMS, and so the schools are going to scramble and try to get something. In this case, Moodle is a good option. But if you just need something really kind of quick to look at to put for your proposals, Google Classroom will be a nice one. Okay, so we'll stop the poll there. About 50% don't have an LMS or online classroom tool, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. LMSs can be expensive. There's a lot of time with administration to put them in. It could be a long-range goal at your school, but if you're trying to do something relatively soon for your class, probably Google Classroom, Schoology, or one of the other systems might work, right, too. Okay, excellent. Thanks so much, Alex. The next slides we want to talk about is leaning forward to receive possible aid. In my world, okay, at Stuttgart University, probably yours too, at your schools, everything, the money, comes down from the top. The government has money, all of a sudden projects become open, and then we have to write proposals or grants to get this money. That's probably where we are right now. The crisis is brand new, relatively speaking. I mean, Italy, China have dealt with it earlier than other countries as we all start to build. But as the government releases money and funds for these areas, the schools will probably have to write proposals for what they're going to do with that money. So my tip of the day today is lean forward and get ready. If you can already be prepared with a needs document, how many students need laptops? How many students need internet connection? How many teachers need laptops or Chromebooks, a device? How many teachers need internet connectivity? Phone service. So brainstorming and coming up with a couple of questions here to figure out, if you're a principal in charge of 12 schools, go to each of those schools and get them to give you a needs so you can come with cost estimates. So when the funds are out there and they're asking for proposal, you're able to say in quick bullet statements, I need this much money for this, I need this much money for this, if it were available. And I'm not saying it is out there, but chances are that as this increases and students are longer and longer out of school, organizations, not-for-profits will start to share different results and put those documents, out there. So if you get that ready, you'll be good to go. And I think Alex is getting ready to show us a student needs survey that you could use if you don't have one yet.
Yes.
Okay, but I think everybody knows what I'm talking about with these needs documents. The school in Germany, we have Digital Pact. So this one is quick and easy. You could even do it simpler. It says, this survey will help me best support your learning needs if we are required to shift to online teaching. It's optional. Give me this information. So it says, do you know how to check your student email? Student email is probably going to be important for schools to keep it a safe environment where it's clustered rather than private and personal emails. In the contingency crisis situation of these first 2 or 3 weeks, students are using their private emails. But as more and more hackers come in and we want to create the safe environment, your school might start coming up, or the district, with rules that have to apply for any kind of school interaction with students coming in. So that's what that question is all about. You could easily change that to, how do you check your mail? And you're coming in there too. Question 2, if classes were shifted to fully online, what challenges do you see out there? And if you have every student put this together, maybe the student will say nothing. I've got good internet, I've got good computers. Then some students will reply, I need an internet connection, I need a cell phone, right? I do all of these different things, coming in. You can get that. And number 3 is all about the resources and strategies, right? Computer at home, prior experience with online learning. And then number 4 is just kind of a general question, any other concerns? Now, that's kind of an elaborate form. You could make it very simple. Do you need email? Do you need computer? Do you need internet? And have the students respond to that by email, either a Google form, so that you could try to get who needs help, and then figure out how much money that is if some of that becomes available, and move forward with it too. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, excellent. Thanks so much, Alex. If you go back to the presentation. So coming up with a survey of instructor, what your school, if you're the principal, what the teachers need, and then what the students need. Because if your organizations are like mine, suddenly there's an email, this money has been released, you have 10 days to apply for it. So then people have to go there. So look at this headline up in the top right. This came from today, the website, the UNESCO website. 1.37 billion students now home as COVID-19 school closures expand. Ministers scale up multimedia approaches to ensure learning continuity. Right? So you can imagine how tired we are with all the panic and the crisis. Imagine our top ministers and our politicians trying to figure out what to do in a crisis situation and come down with a standard kind of approach across countries, across ministries, across school districts. As each day goes by, as each week goes by, these proposals are going to be more stable and reliable in terms of what they're going to be able to offer. So I think it's a really good tip. If you stay in touch with your nation, whatever country you're from, Turkey, Poland, Sweden, find the Department of Education website and see what the corona response is for that, and keep up with that in case funds or money are being released. The other place to look for money or chances to help your students is corporations and then company aid, nonprofit aid that might be out there. Internet providers, right? Find out what the big internet providers in your community or your nation are. Go to their websites and see if they're offering free services or increased web or hotspots, that go with Chromebooks to work with it too. So as people get more concerned about these 1.37 billion students out of school, there's going to be an effort to try to do something to get students digitalized and online. So that's my little tip of the day. Be prepared with a student needs document about how much money you would need and how you're going to be able to justify it to get those funds. Here's an example, right? Okay, the U.S. Department of Education, but there are other departments. Those are the ones that we're working with now with the schools too. Find the COVID-19 response and then see if there are grants, laws, loans that people can take out, whatever is kind of moving that along too with that. And now at this particular slide, Alex is going to start putting a lot of different links in here. So you can copy and paste the link. You could go to, click on the link and then bookmark it when it gets to your browser, and then you have a whole list of these different sources that are coming in. One example, if you see the Prepare CCC, is kind of the website of what's going on. The face of the leader is always important. So if you've got a Facebook or a Google Classroom and you're the teacher, do a short recording of you with an upbeat, positive message. Hi, welcome to our classroom, that gets students motivated and moves them away from that text world. Okay, here's the City College of Chicago's website. They've got a little bit of money so they can put stuff into it. Up at the top, you see the COVID response. They have students, a place for student resources, and then ones for faculty coming in. And then because we have a large Spanish population, the websites for those resources are in Spanish. So when you're bilingual, multilingual in your communities, that's kind of important there too. The chancellor gives a message there. He's kind of laid back. He's not in a suit and tie. He's going to give a nice message about that. And then they've started loaner laptops. Okay, so they found the City of Chicago, the public library, is giving out loaner laptops, Chromebooks, and hotspots. So as soon as in your community you start hearing about these things, get them on the website, the email, the newsletter, word of mouth, whatever your resources are, so that people can do that. And the two areas that we've been working with our students, low income in Chicago, right? Don't have internet at home, don't have parents that are supportive of education, language skills are not that great, study skills. So for us, those two things were super important. First of all, a loaner laptop, how do they get that? And then second, internet access. And this is really where you can get involved with your communities. Some of you might even have good relationships with businesses in your small towns or your communities where you can get a deal for help, kind of out of a charity or a volunteer kind of effort for these things. Another place here's in the Netherlands, Vodafone and Ziggo, what Vodafone is doing for families. And okay, companies are in there to make money. We all know that. And so if they can be shown in this period as being friendly and offering goodwill, it'll probably increase their business. I mean, I'm sure it'd be nice if we said they're doing it out of the goodness of their hearts, but in the end, it's about, okay, keeping their families going in terms of the salaries and the profit moving in. So if we can use this window where they're generous with these offers and kind of take advantage of it, important is to see the fine print. Some of these places are offering free internet for maybe 2 or 3 months, But then when you sign the contract, look very carefully, because it could be 3 months and then you're going to start for a year or something. So with anything else, look and see what's being offered and read the fine lines coming into. Here's internet and staying connected during coronavirus in Chicago, an American type thing. Internet essentials. Receive 2 months of internet services if they apply by the 30th. But then it says after promotion, the regular rates will apply. Okay, if people are desperate and they need something, it might be best to just get it, because then you're going to have that for a little bit in there too. All right, so all of these different aids are out there. That could probably help you with trying to figure out where the money is while you figure out your grant proposal too. And now I think Alex will show this loaner process for adult education students that they have for CCC. If you're thinking about helping students get laptops, resources like this, you can already start a document to have it ready so when it does come, that it moves out. What we're finding with a lot of schools are the schools that are leaning forward, anticipating the things that I'm talking about today. They were able to send the email within a couple of days, and because we weren't getting lots of information yet, they were the first ones that the accounts were being worked, it was being set up, and the money was being released. Now there's a little bit of a bottleneck. There was a period of 3 days where we got probably 3 proposals from schools, and then the next week we had 30, and then we had 50. So now they're kind of bottlenecked as they're being worked and then assigned. So if your school is already leaning forward with this idea that these assets might be available, you can get started for that. So I think what you're going to see right now is CCC's COVID-19 response, the technology support in Spanish too, and then the process of how students go about and get their laptops. Because remember, students can't go anywhere and pick them up. So this has to be coordinated with the Postal Service and the call centers and the corporations that are shipping them all out. So using instructions and getting yourself prepped for how that's all going to work is important. And then coming up with a document that you can send to students and parents so that they can apply for these free aids and then get them. So there's the call center, what they have to do to call, the loaner laptop, how it works, and they move through all of these different steps. So I would recommend that you move forward. If you're trying to think about this stuff, you don't have it yet, the grant, the money's not there, but imagine that it might be, and prepare maybe 2 or 3 documents that then you could flesh out and fill out and send to your ministers or the district supervisors, who's ever working on the money and the funding and the free stuff that's going to come out there. UNESCO, the United Nations, all of these places, you saw the numbers, 1.37 billion. Everybody wants people in schools and going. I think we're going to see an outpouring from the community of support to get everybody online and on the internet. So Alex, thanks very much for that one. And at this particular point, what we'd like to do is perhaps when the presentation pops up with the connection, let me show you this slide. The United Nations response here, the UNESCO, that's one of the links that we put on. There's a UNESCO COVID-19 task force, and within the task force, there's the Education Coalition, and they're also working with Microsoft and the Global Systems for Mobile Communications, GSMA. They do a lot of work in Africa right now by providing internet service to people that don't have it. So now they're using those good networks and channels for this type of situation where people need that too. Okay, how the United Nations works, and then it moves down to our countries, and then it works to the European Union, and it's moving all these things. So as these funds and money come down through the different channels, and they get down to our level in the grassroots, we have to be leaning forward and be able to say, we need everything. That's not going to work, but to be able to say, I need 30 laptops, I need 15 hotspots, I need 4,000 euros for this, 2,000 euros for this, and have a structured plan. It'll be easier to get that money and then put them in. All right, so what Alex and I thought we'd do here is just see how it is out there. So with this next poll, please answer this question. And if you could answer as many as apply to you, I'd say this one you don't just have to pick one, you could pick a couple of these. And when you see the poll, it takes a second. One of the first ones, when you see it, it's not up yet, don't worry, it'll come soon, is my school or organization is getting aid for computers and devices, or my school organization is getting aid for internet connectivity. And then I don't know if there is aid for students and teachers for computers, and I don't know if there is aid for students and teachers for internet connectivity. All right, so when you see the poll, pick one. It'll come. Please be patient. It's April, April. I think our French friends say what? Poisson, poisson. Okay, that's that nice expression. Okay, try to keep a sense of humor in all of this stuff. So it's great. It's wonderful. You can see the poll. My school organization is getting aid for computers and devices. That's the first one. My school organization is getting aid for internet connectivity. Somebody is providing that. When I say aid, it really means free, right? And the third one, I don't know if there is aid for students and teachers for computer services, right? That's a concept that's totally new to me. And I don't know if there is aid for students and teachers for internet that's coming out. So I really hope that, I think we've got about 66 people on the line. I hope that everybody will vote on this one, because I'm collecting data that I'm trying to share, and this one is kind of important for me. If I'm asked by European Commission people, hey, how's it going? I have some colleagues there, they're asking me, Rich, how's the European SchoolNet participation going? This gives me a nice figure of how much aid is out there and then where we are with this. Okay, so we'll take another 20 seconds for this, please. So please, everybody, vote. If you're on your cup of coffee, pick up your mouse and give me a vote with this one too. Bertha, multiple answers aren't working. Okay. That's great. I'm glad you told me that. So the one that really counts will be just whether you picked one or two, and then whether the do and the do don't. Bertha, thanks so much. That's perfect, because what I can do is combine these answers. It's not a problem. If you picked one of the first two, we'll put them together. And then if you picked one of the last two, we'll put them together. That's wonderful. No, Alex, no worries. It's a perfect poll for this. So whether everybody, if you could only vote once, not a big deal. We'll combine them and put them together. So 10 more seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, we'll stop and we'll see how that goes. And now Alex will publish the results. It's pretty interesting, right? Okay, if we put them together, we get 16 and 13, so it's about 30%. There is some kind of aid out there. About 30% people are saying there's either aid for internet or computers. Take that as a, and then the last two is very telling, right? About 70%, 69. I just don't know. Well, I probably should have put another question in there, said we're not getting any, but 61% is great. So there's homework for you. Everybody has homework of that 61%. Go out there, search the web a little bit in your home country and your native languages, and find out what the Ministry of Education in your country is doing, if anything, what the task force is doing, and then ask, if you're the supervisor and the principal yourself, ask your higher, how can we do this, what resources are available, and if you're a teacher, ask your supervisor and district, and if they're saying, well, I don't know, somebody should say, well, could you go find out? This is kind of important. And maybe if it just is calling up, if you're a small town or a community, going to the people who run the internet and ask them, hey, are there discounts, what's available and how that's working. Okay, Alexia, that's great. She says no tech and net aid here. And I'm going to be very optimistic and just say it's not there yet. You saw that 1.37 billion number? It's big. There's going to be this outpouring of support for the children. So the outcry should be there. There's none. And what you can do now, Alexia, is if you can lean forward and kind of already think in your head, what does my school need? Where am I in this? How much do I need? So you can begin to fill out the paperwork. Unfortunately, we all know how that works. These things aren't just going to appear on your doorstep. It's a bureaucratic process where the money has to be accounted for. You're going to have to fill out the proposals and the justification. There'll probably be lots of bullet statements, but it will still have to say an approximate number of laptops, how much interconnectivity, what homes, how much money will you need for training, all of those aspects. So if you can kind of estimate that and have those documents prepared a little bit, then if something comes down in the email, the response won't be quick. What are we trying to plan? So that's my tip. Lean forward and kind of plan for what might be coming. Okay, our next part of today was really about e-twinning and the open resources that people could use here. So what's important to think about e-twinning is always about the projects, and we talked about LMSs. The idea about e-twinning should probably be a new emphasis. Usually it's transnational or international, going across 2 borders. But these days, and Alex has confirmed, it's really also going to be opened up for inter-country projects. So different projects that out there have to deal with that, movement going forward. I encourage everybody. I saw about 20 people contacted me and set up a contact request for me. So there I am, Richard Powers. Go on eTwinning, look for me, and connect with me. And we'll keep in touch, that way if I've got some projects going on. But it's just nice making some friends and using that platform for that. Yesterday, when I went into the project classroom in eTwinning, typed in Corona, not even COVID, just typed in Corona, 27 projects popped up. So look at all the good work that's already been going on out there with these different projects, coming in. Some of the projects, when you start looking at them, the lists up there's just one after another. English Games Challenge, right? The FSK. Here we have, I think, in Turkish language down at the bottom, right? With all kinds of countries doing these different supports. It's probably a good time. Teachers out there saying, let's deal with it and talk with it. It's interesting, it's emotional, but it's also, horrible kind of thing. But it's a historical event. So 10, 20, 15 years when they look back on this, what records will be there? So helping students with a memorable learning experience to deal with this trauma and the things going in, this can be very, very helpful too. All right, let's spotlight some of these coming in. One that was out there, has been out there for a little bit, since the 20th. It's already got 17 likes. How do you do in times of corona crisis? So this one has 7 countries. Italy, Romania, Greece, Netherlands, Serbia, Belgium, and Germany are involved in this project. And if anybody is on the line who's in this project, just if you put your name in the chat, and we'll congratulate you on this and see if you need any support, or you could put a few comments about how it's going for you, right? So how do you do in times of corona crisis? A good model to look at for how you're going to do this one. Okay, another one in French, dealing with 2 schools, but I think it might be bilingual German and French, right? And I'm now going to do my français terrible, hein? Des épidémies d'épidémies chercheurs scientifiques et médecine, rendant hommage à ces héros d'hier et d'aujourd'hui. Okay. What's interesting about the project is they're using heroes concept, and see how Robert Koch is in there. So focusing on Robert Koch and having kind of a historical background for pandemics, looking at history and what was happened in the past and how viruses were contained and how does it work really for today. Right? Oh, Patricia, merci beaucoup, mais ce n'est pas vrai. Je n'ai pas des amis qui parlent français. Hein? Quel dommage. But yes, Helena says, can I have your email? Absolutely. So I'll type that. It's at the end of the thing, and I'll make sure I type that in there as well too. The best way to get in touch with me, eTwinning, right? So the connection, and then we can email that way too. So good project there. Here's a fun one. See the different levels? That age range was 16 to 17. Here's one in Turkey, 4 schools within a country. The English Games Challenge. So having their students work with games in this one too. So the aims of the project's interest, keep students learning with English. We know our students love games. Lots on the internet. That's a good way to do that project too, right? See the ages 10 to 14. Here's one with 3 countries, Belgium, Turkey, and Sweden. View from a room, right? Kind of a great idea. It says ages 12 to 14, but I think it's really, it says primary school, so it could be as low as, you could do these with children 6 to 10. What it does is the children take a picture, or the people take a picture from their room. Everybody's quarantined or else they're staying inside. They take a picture from the room and then post it and share with the different countries, Belgium, Turkey, and Sweden. It's a nice kind of a cross-cultural way to do that. without a lot of writing and then project management. So room for review is there. And now we have Alternatives Lernen, Entschuldigung, mein Deutsch, online learning. And we've got Christiana is on the line today, too, with this. She's got 4 schools in 1 country. Looks like Patricia has put a link in there. I don't know if that's my profile or the project, but that's great. Then you can see me, it's moving on there too. But we're lucky enough to have Christiana. This is one that she's put on, Alternative Learners with Online Learning. And see the cool little post, I will teach you in a room. I will teach you now on Zoom. Okay, it has that nice Dr. Seuss, credit with the project that's moving on there too. Something else that Christiana has done is see all the different teachers. They all have a message to their students. So students love seeing their teachers. And what a great way to do this all together with kind of an upbeat, optimistic thing that, could be put together with teachers starting a kind of an idea that moves in there. And you're doing all this through eTwinning, through the platform with the different schools and then moving in. So kudos to that group. Here's another one that's just put up, I think, yesterday, the 30th, hashtag keep calm and stay at home. Okay, 3 countries, Italy, Germany, and France, and it uses Padlet as a collaborative wall. It also uses teleconferencing, and then there's a final video. So that's a lot right there. Remember, we had 68% of people not having an LMS. I think that was 50%, sorry with that. Here's a way to use eTwinning to get through that and involve students from different countries, all working in maybe the same language in there. So helpful project. Here's my favorite. Okay, it's only my favorite because it's today. It's called Corona Fool's Day, right? So all the doom and gloom. This particular group, our aim is to have fun and to encourage, jokes and different ideas with that one too. So the Corona Fool's Day, obviously for today, students, not making jokes about Corona, certainly, but having a little bit of humor and putting those things all together. So I thought also in the spirit of that and to show what you can do also with your students. I mean, it is April 1st, right? April, right? When you're doing your live cameras today with your students, you can do funny things and put a little hat. Okay, enough of that. You can see the showman that's going on. Okay, but I think you get the point. Now, what happens if you're in the middle of a project right now? eTwinning. And it has to stop because you can't visit. So here Christiana offers this. They were supposed to meet together in Italy from the 30th of March to the 3rd of April. So how disappointing must have been that? People were going to be together and then do that. The coronavirus started, so they had to cancel the meeting. So they're using eTwinning to adapt and move forward, right? So you can still keep those projects going. And a lot of you out there, I'm sorry, I wish I could highlight everybody in this moment because you're all doing things on eTwinning with your projects to keep them going and to keep the students, interested. But, this was Christiana's project with multilingualism for a sustainable society. She had a colleague working on a PhD with it too that it got interrupted. So there's ways to contact the students and keep them moving with that too, right? Patricia, the same as you, right? I'm seeing in the chat. They had an LTT in Sardinia in May that had to cancel, right? And I tell you, if nothing else, if you're looking for inspiration, just go on eTwinning, pop in Corona with the projects, and even if you don't do a project, you're just going to get inspired by all the work that's being thought about and then done by teachers that are already connected in eTwinning. So they say, well, okay, this is a way that I can keep my learning for my students going because the students know it as well, right? You don't have to do all this extra stuff. You already have the foundation. You're an eTwinning ambassador, perhaps, you're moving towards. You can use eTwinning now to get you through. eTwinning, super resources in it, fairly expensive, and you don't have to pay for it to use it. So students have a place. Also important about eTwinning, it's a safe space, right? We know that anybody that's interacting in there has been validated and approved, right, for use. Okay, as we end to the end of our program, wanted to remind everybody else too, eTwinning, what else besides projects? Professional development. So if you're finding these little, I don't know, virtual coffee chats with me, you're like a virtual coffee chat, come for an hour, talk about stuff, and then move on. If you're finding them helpful, do more. I use them to inspire me. I take some from my colleagues when they're think about ideas, kind of go in there. I mean, I'm watching a lot of Netflix too in my fair time, but every now and then want to do something intellectual for the head. Jump in with colleagues, see what they're doing, and then it inspires me. Sometimes I talk to colleagues, they're not keeping up with stuff this way, and there's a little bit more of a doom and gloom and how long is this going to go. So I found by taking these seminars, it helps you stay abreast and feel a little bit more optimistic about what's going on instead of just trying to read the papers here too. Okay. The other thing is I'd offer you, you're probably just like me, a great teacher, great ideas, you do this all the time. Well, maybe now it's time to rise up and go to the next level. Offer webinars, give tips. So wherever you are in eTwinning, talk to your NSS about offering your services as giving a webinar about your area of expertise. This is a very good time when no one's in school for increased webinars, increased activities, and we can see some of the best teachers out there now rising up and becoming good webinar producers and everything. Okay, as we end today, I'm wondering if we could do one more poll, right? We're super busy, I know, but I'm trying to get information, you know, for my papers and documents too. As we hit this one, please answer this last question. It will probably help. And when you start to see it, it's I am involved now in a COVID-19 related eTwinning project. I would like to be. I'm not, but now I'm interested. Or I have no interest right now. And that's okay. That doesn't mean you're not interested in COVID-19. It just means you're doing way too much. So there's no time to do COVID. You could have 3 eTwinning projects going right now. You don't need to adopt another one, but it's just trying to say, okay, what can I do? And I think a lot of us, we've taken psychology classes in our background, or we're writing teachers. Sometimes when we're dealing with a problem, it's helpful to write it down, to write about it, kind of like a therapy. Nobody needs to see it. And maybe that's why working through a COVID project with another country and other students gives all kinds of learning opportunities and connections, and it makes it a little bit perhaps more real and authentic than your normal standard eTwinning project, right? So we'll take about, I don't know, 10 more seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Right, and we've got some good things in the chat. Christine says we're doing an alternative project to keep teaching. Irene, great point. I think when we keep ourselves busy, it helps us stay more positive. The structure we had from school, great point. Keep that going. Assi says create your own online seminars in eTwinning Live in the events section too. Nice plug for that. If you don't know about that, the eTwinning Live, you could create your own online seminar and use that to promote those things. Irina also has another excellent point. Check the partner finding forums. There are many colleagues with ideas on this topic. So do the search, get that promotion, and then maybe you'll be able to start that project. So I didn't see the final poll. Sorry, oh, Alex, did you close it? Do you know the numbers? What were the final poll about the, I think I was seeing something like 70% of the respondents wanted to respond to the poll. So good numbers, right? Yeah, excellent. So 15% out there. Thanks, Alex. 15% of our participants are involved with the project now. 66%, so 23%, or 23 people, 67%. So something, homework for you, go out there. There are those 27 projects in there. See if you can attach your school and your students to that too. And then about 18%, they have no interest right now. That's okay too, busy and all these things that are moving on. Okay, great. That brings us to the end. Oh my goodness, we've got about 2 more minutes here too. And I just wanted to leave everybody with these good thoughts about taking care of ourselves. Really, and I mean this sincerely, none of this works without us. Eat right, you know, vitamins, orange juice, whatever works for you, a routine, even if it's going outside and then walking and then back again, or if you have stairs in your apartment building or someplace, up and down the stairs 10 times. I mean, probably don't touch the railing, but something that keeps you physical, even if it's running in place. The boundaries when working from home. You know, your family needs you too, so there's certain times when you should be working perhaps, and there's other times when it's time to cook, sit down with the family, and enjoy that quality time as well. Virtual coffee breaks with colleagues are nice. Check in if there's people that you like to talk to. Good modeling, prepping for the teleconferences, and I think we've sent that around before, no need to show it now, but the taking care of yourselves about the balance, right? Because if we're not fit and doing well, we can't be there for our students, okay? Excellent. Our next meeting is tomorrow, so get a good night of sleep and have a good day of work, right, today, and fun activities. Do something fun on April 1st. Tomorrow we'll finish our series with communication, engagement, motivation, and presence for remote instruction. How do you keep those things going so your students are interested? And tomorrow's nice. You can sleep in, right? We'll see everybody about 5 o'clock for afternoon tea.
If I can
right?
just add
and,
that some
crumpets,
people
as they
have
say,
asked where they
perhaps
can find the
English.
recordings and
Yes.
where can they find all the documents that we shared during the sessions. So I'm posting now in the chat. Here you can find all the recordings. And the recording of today's session will be ready tomorrow. And also, I will share it as a post on my eTwinning Live. So if you follow me, you can see it on my eTwinning Live. Okay, so there you go. There is a Google Drive folder with all the documents, and there are also the recordings, and we highly recommend you to check them and watch them. And we will also continue to promote these recordings, and we'll reshare the material with you so it wouldn't be lost or hidden. Thank you, and thank you so much, Richard, for today's excellent session. Very informative, and as you said, we will meet tomorrow at 5 o'clock, and I pass the microphone to you for some closure.
Thanks again, Alex, for everything. Couldn't do it without you. Alex is a great monitor. You guys see her behind the scenes. She does all that stuff, makes me look good with the polls and all that kind of fancy stuff. Maybe the way to leave is everybody stay safe with prayers for your good health and your families. And I've left you with Christiana Eichel's neat little graphic here. Commuting in Corona times, right? Looks like the tube. If you're going from the bookshelf to the fridge and then to the kitchen, up to the balcony, and to the yoga mat, to the laundry, wherever you are in your world, have gratitude in your hearts for the day that it is today. Okay, see everybody tomorrow, right? Bye-bye.